posting on the internet, so I kind of don't want to use my own personal photos. But I'm actually gonna use my personal photos when I do demonstrate this in class. But if you guys ever go back to like the video to clarify things, then just keep in mind that I am using separate different photos for this. But once you open up Adobe Photoshop, again, you're gonna click on the Finder, go to Applications. And you're gonna scroll up and look for one that says Adobe Photoshop CC 2018. And all you're gonna do is just double click on it, and then this should pop up, or it's gonna have like a load screen. It's gonna pop this up. So this is basically Adobe Photoshop. So there's a bunch of like random tabs on here. So I mean, this is my first time using this version, or at least this version on these computers. So you would just click on Windows, Workspace. And I would just change this workspace to photography. So when you change it to photography, it's going to give you like all the panels that you need in order to do your photography. So, that's the histories panel, this actions, and I'm going to explain, what these things are later. Your adjustments panel is going to be, use that a good bit. But basically what you're going to do though is, you just want to make sure to download your photos. So after you've downloaded them off the internet, they should show up in the downloads button down here. You click on this and then click, find in the Finder, and your photos should load up on here. But I didn't upload any of the photos. I actually have them all in this folder here. So at some point though, you're gonna have to make your own folder. You would just title it your first and last name. I'll just type Mr. Wan, and then whatever the period number is, 1B, 2A, whatever that could be. And just real important though, just make sure to save everything in that folder, and just double click on that folder, and you just want to make sure to have all these images saved onto this folder. All right, so yeah, first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna click on the photo that has your portrait. So I actually just grabbed this picture off the internet. All these are actually random pictures I grabbed off the internet. But if you want like a better view of them, you just highlight them, click and drag, highlight all the pictures, double click on it. Looks like I did a little too quick, but if you wait a little bit and double click on it, it should just show up as separate photos that you can look at. So this kind of gives you like a good scope on the different images that you want to use and how you want to arrange it. But again, I would just start off with the portrait photo first. So I'm just going to click on the portrait here, and I'm actually going to click and drag this portrait onto the Photoshop. So just click and drag, put in Photoshop. Whoops, I think I held it too long. So I'm just clicking drag, Photoshop, and it should pop up. So once you have your photo popped up on here, to zoom in and zoom out, it's going to be, you're going to hold Command minus and press minus, hold Command press minus to zoom out, Command plus to zoom in. So or you can do it this way too. You can click on this down here. You used to have like a tab here that you could click to change the different sizes, or I guess it's something that they changed. But Command minus zooms out, and Command some reason it's really laggy. Okay, Command plus zooms in. All right. So essentially, we're going to have to cut out the image out of the photo. So actually, let's just start over again. Okay, so we'll do it this way. So you're going to go to File and New. And we're going to make a new document. So we're going to go to Photos on the top, and then you want to click 4:6 landscape. So 4:6 landscape. Or again, landscape is going to make it longer, whereas the portrait's going to make it go up and down. So I'm actually going to do a landscape because I want it to go longer. But if you want to, you go File, New, and Photo. If you want to do portrait, I'll do 4:6. You can do either or. I'm actually gonna do the landscape just because, I like that arrangement. But it's up to you how you want to do it. But we're gonna do this again. So all I'm gonna do is instead of clicking and dragging into PS, I actually want you to click and drag this onto the workspace. So you click and drag it onto the workspace. try Photoshop. Yeah, so they changed some things around. It used to be you could just click and drag this onto here. Maybe you have to actually drag the actual file now. Okay, so you have to drag a file from your folder, so we can't use this. We can just keep it to the side though if we want to look at images. So once you click and drag it onto here, it's going to allow you to resize it, redrag it. But I recommend just holding the Shift key just so it stays the same size, and just click and drag it. And I'm actually just gonna have it go like this because the way the portrait was taken though, you only have like the top of the head and here. So if I were to try to make it smaller, and Command T as in turtle, that allows you to resize the image. This the top of her head would be cut off, which I don't want. So we're gonna actually have her head go out a little bit more. So part of this project is, you have to like figure out like how to organize your photos to, create your composition. So that's kind of like one of the things I'm going to be testing on is the organization, and the other part's going to be the cleaning up part. So there are several different ways you can, cut out the images and this program. So a lot of them kind of derive from this quick selection magic wand tool. If you wanted to, you could play around with this. Also the selection tool as well. But probably the most easiest method of doing this right now is I would just use the eraser tool. So this is going to be the eraser right here, and you just click on it. Just click on to rasterize the image. So click OK. And you can just use the bracket key. So bracket keys kind of look like, I'll make this in a separate layer. They look kind of like this here on your keyboard. So you can use those keys to, resize your brush. This one's going to make it bigger. This one's going to make it smaller. And I would just go on this layer here. And again, each layer is kind of like a different paper that you're working with. So, we're kind of going like right here. So it only affects like the actual picture. And I'm just using the eraser tool, and I'm just going to literally just erase the background out. Okay, so this is actually like the quickest way of doing it. It's not the best way of doing it, but if you were to play around with the computer enough and look at the tools on here, like the eraser, because obviously eraser is kind of like, we use that to erase things. You will learn quickly that you can use this effectively to erase the picture. So, you just erase it, and just try your best to kind of erase like around the edges as best as you can. Okay, it's not going to be perfect just because, I'm not showing you guys the most effective way of doing it. But, this is like kind of like what we have to work with for now, just because I'm not really supposed to teach you guys anything about this program. But, if you wanted to kind of play around with like this tool here, magic wand tool, these are like all different ways of, erasing it. So you can click on that, delete. It actually does it pretty quickly. So, but it's not like perfect though. That's the thing. You see, if you look at it, it's not perfect. So that's another way of doing it too, is using the magic wand tool. I'm just clicking in those areas, and I'm just pressing the delete key. But basically, it's just selecting that area and just deleting it. So, there's a couple different ways of deleting things. This way is more of, I wouldn't use this method. It's more of an hassle. Probably like the magic wand tool, and then this tool here too. It's like same thing. It selects it, and then you can delete it. But I'm gonna undo that, deselect it. All right, but keep in mind though, I kind of pulled this tab up here. It's this button here. Also, it's located if you go to Windows and History. Your History panel is real important because if you make mistakes like how I did right here, where let's just say I just selected this part here and I deleted it. And, I didn't mean to delete it. That was like a mistake I made. You can actually go to the Histories panel and just click on these tabs. I'm not sure what the check does, but just click on the button like right here, and it'll actually go back to like the mistakes that you make. So like this lets you to undo mistakes that you made. But keep in mind though, if you make a lot of mistakes, it probably only keeps like about 20 commands that you've done before. So just keep in mind that you don't want to make too many mistakes. But then like when I make this next command though, it's going to erase those things. And then Command Z undo too. So same thing like your Microsoft Word, the command keys are kind of the same. So Command Z does undo. So, some of you may be a little confused with the PC, which is Control Z, but everything that deals with hotkeys is always going to be the command key for this program. So that's one way of cutting out the images. But again, it's not like the best way, but just try your best on it. So I have my image here now. There's not really a lot of space I can work with in this particular photo. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this crop tool here, and I'm going to drag this a little bit more to the outside, so I can add some more pictures over here. And this crop tool is going to just allow me to kind of like stretch the picture out bigger. You also like make it bigger on the top here, but again, she's going to be missing the top of her head. So just keep that in mind with the portrait photo that I use. Hopefully, you have a photo where you have the top of your head, the shoulders, and everything. But again, this is like an image that I'm working with. So I'm actually gonna click and drag this second image on here. So I'm just gonna click and drag it onto the desktop space, and I'm actually gonna have this go off of the page a little bit. So I'm just gonna fill up the page. Now it's covering the portrait, but it's okay though. I'm just gonna leave it like that. And now if you look at your layers panel, so I'm gonna teach you guys a little bit about layers. The layers panel, you can actually click and drag these in certain parts. So like right now, it's on top of the portrait, which is right here. So if I drag this down, it's gonna go behind the portrait. So that's kind of like how you can control like where things go. And if I wanted to get rid of this, I would actually drag this behind everything else. So that's how you get like things behind the portrait. And then you can also use the move tool here to move the people around your picture. So maybe I might want to have her like right here instead, or maybe in the middle. So it's up to you how you want to like arrange your picture. I might just leave her like right here actually. So maybe I might want to use this as like the background here. And then, next I'm going to add this picture here, and I don't know, maybe I'll resize this down, put this here, and then, I'm going to do like this. I want to use the other one as a background, but this one I'm going to actually cut the people out. So, just like again what we did before, I just use this quick selection tool, so this is like the same thing. It's just you have to kind of click and drag it in areas. And minus will deselect it. So if you were to play around with those tools, that's what you would find out. And I would just delete it. Oh, in order to delete though, you have to rasterize the image. So always use like the paintbrush first. Click OK, and this allows you to edit the picture. So then now I can delete the picture, and then Command D as in dog will deselect it. But again, I feel like the easiest tool to use though, at least for like right now, is this is magic wand, so you can just click these areas, delete it. I mean, it's a little bit harder here because, whoops, I deleted that guy by accident. See, this one's like not really that good because this one I actually had to use the eraser. So, again, some cases it might just be easier to just erase it manually. Again, these are like the kind of like quick ways that you would figure out how to do it on your own if I were to give you some time with the program. But I just feel like it's probably better to just tell you now the easy ways of editing the picture. But you just want to take your time, make sure everything looks nice, neat and clean, and you just want to erase those things that you don't need. Now I'd probably just do like multiple clicks. Because if I were to like click and drag this the whole way and I mess up on something, then I would have to literally go back and fix that one thing. Okay, but you kind of get the idea though. I'm just going to be erasing this, cleaning up. I'm not going to spend too long on this, so let's do a little bit more. Alright, so that's basically how you can collage. So I'm just going to move this around. Command T as material, you can use that to resize things. Oh, one other thing you can play around with, you can also experiment with these different overlays. I mean, we're going to go over this later in the year, but you can just kind of click on these to get like different effects. If you want to play around with it, it's yeah, some of these they look kind of weird, but it kind of creates like more of like an effect. And this too, you can play around with it. But otherwise, this is kind of like the idea.